All right. So we are live, but I want to tap in on Instagram too. Let me see if I want to get this out to as many people as possible. So, hey, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you are sharing. We're going to get Instagram plugged in here. And Renee, this is broadcasting to Facebook as well.
Okay.
So you can go to your Facebook page and share my live, and then it'll go to all your audience too.
Interesting. Okay. I don't see you on here yet on my page. Let's see. Nope, I don't see you here yet. I usually see you here though, every night.
Hmm. It's showing that we are live. Let me see what's going on.
Maybe if I search for you.
Yeah, I'm showing it live on my page. When I go to my home page, it's there.
Hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is going to be a good one. So I want to make sure that we get all devices and platforms in sync so that we can, and you'll have to turn the volume down too because you'll get
Yep.
it. So,
Yes, I do. Okay, I think I'm good on this end. I still don't see you on my Facebook page though,
hmm,
which is weird because I see you here a lot.
yeah, let me see. I'm going to, I just shared it to you so you should get a notification.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
No, but won't let me open it. Why is Facebook being so difficult?
interesting.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yay, welcome one, welcome all. We are live on several Realtor Robin, hello, hello, hello. This is a good one for you, friend. This is a good one. We got the accidental flipper in the house. Give me a share, give me a share, give me a share. Oh my goodness. How was your day, Renee?
It's been one of those Monday kind of Thursdays. I'm working on I'm working on a flip right now. So you have a lot of those days when you're doing those projects and your
Yes.
contractors don't show up or yeah. So it was one of those days, but it's okay.
Yeah,
It's part of the process.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Now, I want to introduce you, but I want to make sure all of the credentials and the things get mentioned properly. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, but I will say your name. Ladies and gentlemen, meet my friend Renee Miranda.
Hello.
Attorney
Well,
Renee.
that's kind of my least favorite job, so you don't really have to say that.
But it's okay. No, you earned
So
that. You earned that. That was a lot of school.
yeah, I do have. Let's see here. See if I can present.
That went away.
Let's see. Okay.
There it
Can you
is.
see that?
Yes, I see
Good.
it. It's not on the
Okay.
screen though.
So yes, I am a real estate attorney in New York since 1996, only licensed in New York. Um, I'm a licensed real estate broker in New York and also in Florida. And I just recently got my mortgage loan officer license And all of this is to support the real estate investing. I'm not passionate about any of those positions. I hold them because it helps me help myself and it helps me help other people.
Nice.
That's why I do that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I'm also in the process of completing my mortgage, my MLO.
Mm-hmm. Well, you
Um,
can join us if you want. We have another girl from Dealmaker who is also joining. So,
okay, all right. And I'm licensed in Florida. We're gonna have to do some things.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I am licensed in Florida, but the company I work for, as long as you're doing the non-qualifying loans, you can do 47 states. They don't do New
I mean,
York.
real estate a broker license in
Yeah.
Florida. Not
Okay.
MLO. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a broker in Georgia, Florida, Kansas, and Missouri.
Okay. Interesting. Now, did
Yeah.
my thing go away again? Is it gone?
I see it.
Hmm.
It's not on the screen, but I see it down below.
Hmm. I don't see it. All right. That's fine.
Let me
Well, we'll
see.
go through some of these quickly.
You ready to add it to stage?
Sorry.
You ready to add it to the screen?
Is it on the screen? It's not on the screen?
I can no, it's not. I can add it to this. For me, it says add to stage. You ready for
Okay.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Here we
Okay.
go.
Now let's see if I can switch pages
This
from
is the
here.
first, ladies and gentlemen. I've
Yes.
never
Yes.
done any presentation on this platform. And
Me
also,
neither.
I did not mention this is the 30 Days of I Owe Me challenge. We are here to empower. It started with just women, but I wanted to open it up because I realized so many men are still hurting and they need information too. So, this first one for me, 30 Days of I Owe Me, we're just putting ourselves on our own list of priorities and we're elevating in the areas of health, wealth, and relationship. And with me using, not in a bad way using, but leveraging my relationships, I have brought to you different practitioners to give you information so that you can grow. Now, this would fall under the wealth category, I believe, because with real estate, you can definitely create great wealth. Renee Miranda, take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to teach a little bit about flipping, and I'll give you a little bit of background as to how I got here. In 2000, I owned a house in Long Island, New York, and I was married. I had 2 babies, and we had an unexpected job opportunity to actually go to Toronto. So we were forced to sell our house. We had only owned it a little less than 2 years at that point. So I decided, well, it would be nice if we did some really cosmetic updates. We didn't do anything fancy. So we rolled up our sleeves, we did some projects, and we listed it. 3 hours later, we had multiple offers, and we sold it for more than twice what we paid for it. So I was hooked. That is how I accidentally completed my first flip. Didn't know that's what I was doing, but it became kind of a passion of mine at that point. So that's that. Since 2000, I have flipped 17 single-family properties and 1 9-unit apartment building. Some of those I kept for a little while. The 9-unit I had for about 10 years, renovated each of the apartments and then sold it. I currently have 6 rental properties. I focus on midterm rentals and house hacking. I just bought a property, 20 acres in a state forest with 11 buildings, and I'm currently renovating that property. And so I'm defining flipping for this group as more than just buying, fixing up, and selling. Flipping really is the purchase, in my eyes, of any property with the intent of renovating it, improving it, changing it so that you can make profit. So whatever that means, I kind of put that all together in flipping.
Now, interesting point you just made. Do you make any distinction with the timeline? I think there's a buy and hold and then flip. Because if you eventually sell it,
I
technically
mean,
flip, but
Yeah, if you eventually sell it, I guess it is a flip. But I think as I get, and as you get better at real estate investing, you understand that the end game sometimes has to change. Either the market just took a dive, or there's too many houses in the area for sale at the same time, so you don't want to compete. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So for lots of reasons, having um, a variety of ways to exit it is smart. And tax wise, you'd really, I can't say anything on the tax implications, but sometimes holding on longer is beneficial depending on your business structure. If you're in a corporation, it probably doesn't make a difference. If you're in an LLC, it very well could. So, but I think your exit strategy should have some flexibility, especially in the current market where we don't know what's going to happen next month.
Right, right.
Right.
So you
Um,
recommend starting out with your exit strategy already mapped out, right?
yeah. And for some people, I mean, the exit strategy is I have to sell it. So, maybe they go from, I hope to make a $25,000 profit with the current market. I'm only going to make 15. So if your exit strategy is you can only accomplish one, be flexible in your numbers to compensate for the market and what's going on.
Okay, got it.
So let's see what's next here. So in flipping, whether you're going to hold them for a little while and eventually sell them and flip them, there's 6 major elements: finding the property, comping the property, funding the deal, fixing the property, determining your exit strategy, and these are not necessarily in the right order, and due diligence. Due diligence has become, in my opinion, the most important topic out of
Absolutely.
all of them. Due diligence and comping. If you fail at one of those, the project's probably going to fail.
Woo, absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
So finding the property, it sounds harder than it is. It sounds easier than it is, I suppose. Personally, I like driving for dollars. I drive around. I'm in a small town. If you see a note on a door, it almost always means the property's in foreclosure.
Mhm.
Um, you get to know local realtors who list the foreclosures. You get ahead of the game. You call them first. Sometimes you can get in soon enough to stop the foreclosure. Sit down with these sellers and say, look, you're in trouble. You need something. I need something. Let's work together and come out with a win-win. So I have saved a couple people from foreclosure, specifically tax lien foreclosure, properties that were going to be foreclosed for unpaid taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, get to know your local realtors. Everybody thinks that you can't find a good deal on MLS, and that's just not true. So get to know your local realtors, go on Facebook Marketplace, let your friends and family know, hey, I buy, I'm looking. If you hear of anything, let me know. And working with a local wholesaler, if your state allows wholesaling, is a great way to do it. One word of caution is I only work with wholesalers that I train. And by training, I don't mean, hours and hours, but I sit down and I say, don't waste my time. Here's what I'm looking for and bring me deals that meet this criteria. Don't
Yes.
be inflating the price, inflating the value, inflating the sales price when it's renovated. Don't be underestimating what repairs it needs. Bring me the deals with real numbers. And so if you can find a wholesaler who's on that page, they can be a really great resource.
They can, because they are
Mhm.
definitely they're out there in the streets. And
Right. And if they know if I bring a deal in her buy box to her, she's going to buy it or she's going to find someone who will.
mhm.
They'll work a lot harder for you. And then you stop wasting each other's time because a lot of wholesalers, let's be honest, they're not
Selling
there.
the same list to 50 people.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that they're not, they don't, they can't be good. I just don't think they know how to be good. So
Right.
if I work with a wholesaler, it is with a long, hard conversation about don't waste my time.
Yes.
And I personally have only gotten a couple small deals, but I know some people who've gotten some amazing deals through
Mhm.
wholesalers that they've kind of set up to succeed.
Yes. Now, the wholesale game has changed drastically in the last 10, 15 years. Everybody does not do it. And I caution anybody who comes around me with a wholesale deal. If the seller is not explicitly on board, I want no parts.
Absolutely. Full
because
disclosure all the way around. I don't want one of these, no offense to some of the big gurus who charge a lot of money, because I'm part of a couple of those groups for other reasons, but these one-page contracts that really don't disclose all the information, I don't want any part of those either. When I work with a wholesaler, I require that the local real estate contract be used.
yes,
With a provision that it can be assigned. So none of this 2-page contract that benefits absolutely nobody, really.
right,
So that's, definitely good advice there. All right. So then the next thing we're going to come to is comping the property. And this is why most investors fail. This and due diligence. It is one of the hardest parts. I highly recommend, if you don't know how to comp, you find someone who does. That is going to be the make or break of you making profit.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're comping, we've got 5 critical numbers. The current value of the property. This requires a detailed analysis, something that maybe someone new to this is not going to understand. Never rely on what the seller tells you. They tell you it's worth $200,000. It's probably worth $100,000. That's usually how it works out. And you've got to be able to determine the seller has a want, and it doesn't necessarily match the product that they have. And sometimes sellers that has to be explained to them. And a lot of times, if you explain it with real language and real details and real numbers, sellers will understand. And sometimes you get a seller is just unreasonable, and that's just not your deal.
Right.
So then the second is the renovation costs. And this is really where a lot of new people to the market, and even some seasoned ones, really fail.
Yes.
You've got to consider everything. People miss. I've gone over budgets with people a dozen times, and they don't include doorknobs and light fixtures and the plumbing under the sink. They've got the cost of the sink, but
Yeah.
not plumbing underneath it, right? You're not going to leave 30-year-old plumbing on a brand new sink. Lawn maintenance and garbage removal and the dumpster. These things are all getting missed. So you've got $5,000-$6,000 in costs that you are going to have that aren't in your budget. That's a recipe for a problem. I recommend, when I'm teaching this, that you write down everything. Walk through a room and say, "Oh, I need knobs on this door. These cupboard doors. I mean everything." And then take yourself to Home Depot or Lowe's or get online and start pricing those things out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the second biggest mistakes you can make is letting your contractor tell you what things cost.
Woo.
Because they're not charging you $1,500 for the $1,500 refrigerator. They're going to try to mark it up. And if you don't know that, the numbers seem reasonable to you if you don't understand what the numbers really look like. So I recommend that you never let the contractor dictate what your supplies cost.
And make sure you get an itemized list of everything. I've seen contractors try to just send let's say $100,000, and they're not breaking anything down. You don't know what you're paying for.
Yep. That's one of the due diligence and one of the biggest areas of due diligence is your contractor. Mm-hmm. Really good contracts, really detailed contracts. I've seen hundreds of deals where the contractor came back and said we had to upcharge for A, B, C, and D. Your understanding was that was included. Their understanding was it wasn't. The contract doesn't say anything. Now all of a sudden they're asking for another $10,000 and your profit just disappeared. You overvalued what the property was worth. You forgot all these little things in your costs, and now your contractor says the bill's $10,000 higher. Your profit's now gone. You've now done this whole project for nothing.
Or nothing.
Yep. Now this is what I recommend to anybody I'm teaching is I always add 15% to every single budget, always. You just never know, especially if you're taking walls down. I call it the oops budget. And here's the thing. If you're wrong, it's a lot more money in your pocket. Makes a good day when you sell the house. If you're right, the money's there and you're not putting yourself to zero profit.
Right.
So that's how I do it. I highly recommend you have some sort of percentage budget for what you've missed. 15% has always seemed to work pretty good for me. I have had a couple times where I've eaten the entire 15%. And I've had other times where I put most of it in my pocket. So, all right. Oh, that is not the right one. What is that one? Oh, let's see here. Oh, we got lost here. Sorry. It sped ahead. I don't know why. Okay, let's see here. Oh, okay. So the third thing you have to know is holding costs. One of the mistakes I get with a lot of new people is they don't do true taxes. So if you're buying the property from someone, for example, who is elderly and is a veteran, their taxes are going to be almost nothing. Within a couple months of you buying the property, 4, 5, 6 at the most, they're going to reassess those. Some of those savings are actually billed back to you. So for example, for a VA, you don't get the benefit for that 6 months left on that tax bill of that loan. So not only will your taxes a lot of times go from, for argument's sake, $500 to $5,000, you'll also get tacked on that percentage of the VA
whatever you say
benefit you shouldn't have gotten.
Yep.
So, you're looking at potentially a tax bill of $5, $6, $7, $10,000, depending on the price of your property. And a lot of people miss that, and that bill comes and they don't have the money to pay it. So now all of a sudden that 15% that they put aside is gone. A lot of things. Another thing a lot of people don't think about is your closing costs before and after. You got to figure that out from the beginning. Figure in the cost of a realtor. You may not need a realtor, but don't do your budgets without one. Put the realtor cost into your budget. If you happen to sell it, the neighbor loves it and tells their daughter about it, and you sell it and you don't pay the realtor, again, more money in your pocket. Better to have more in your pocket than not enough. And then your desired profit. What do you want to make? And everybody's push point on that is different. I mean, for someone doing their first flip, they're like, if I make $10,000 and I learn a lot, this is a great deal. For me personally, I've got a $25,000, $35,000 minimum. I'm not doing a project that doesn't bring me that. But that number, it's personal. It depends on where you are in life, what you want to get out of it, things that you need that are, not money. You may just want the experience at this point. So, and you add up those 5 numbers, and they better be equal or less than the 6th number, which is what you can sell it for. If they don't, walk away. Don't buy the property. Don't try to make the numbers work. They won't.
They won't.
They won't. Yep. And I see a lot of people who get emotional. They want to just figure out a way to make it work. Bad idea. If the numbers don't work, they don't work. It's a numbers game. It is not an emotional game.
Yes. And understanding the current market, even if you heard what was happening before, people are not lining up like they were 2-3 years ago, paying 20, 30, 40,000 over list price now.
Right.
Market is balancing. Right.
Your holding costs better be, an extra 4 months right now, where, like you said, a year ago, your holding costs were from the day you put it on the market were maybe, in Florida, probably 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But now you've got to be prepared for the 4, 5, 6 months of holding costs.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to take into account, I mean, if your numbers are just breaking even, you've got to think about what if the market continues a downhill fall. Now all of a sudden you've got a loss. And the last thing you want to do is put 6 months dealing with contractors, dealing with finances, dealing with potentially a lender who really wants to know what's going on all the time, and walk away with money out of your pocket.
Yeah. Now, when you're teaching, do you recommend a person's first flip be more of a softer cosmetic flip?
So here is one of the things, I think it's my next slide, is actually what I recommend for someone who hasn't flipped. One of the things I recommend is, oh no, we've got funding the deal. Okay. So let me go back. I'll go back. I really recommend to people who really want to get their feet wet and aren't quite ready to flip, I recommend that you get in a good group I do not recommend you pay someone $6,000, $7,000, $10,000. I'm totally against that. But I recommend you get into a group, get to know people who have done it. And a great entry point is what I call house hacking. That is a great entry point. Find a property, a duplex, for example, where one half's going to pay for the other half. Find something where you can get into real estate, start learning numbers, costs, contractors, all those things without being on the line for the entire cost of a purchase and renovation. So, but yeah, soft flips are great too. The problem is a lot of times you get in there and it turns out they're not really as cosmetic as they look.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's hard to find a good cosmetic one now. And your numbers are a lot tighter on the cosmetic because the sellers, you know, generally know that it doesn't need major things. So your numbers are a little tighter. So no, I don't know, not necessarily. I can help someone do any project. I prefer not to take the walls down anymore, but a lot of times that's where the money is if you've got the stomach for it.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right. Okay.
All right, so then we're going to fund the deals. And when I first got involved in flipping my second and third flips, I actually purchased them on a credit card. I had really good credit. This is back in 2004, 2005. I actually had a Bank of America credit card with a $50,000 limit on it.
Okay.
So it would cost me 1% up front to take that money out. So $500 to take all of it. And I wouldn't have to pay it back for 18 months. So that's how I funded my first couple of deals. I bought them on credit cards. One credit card I took a similar to a cash advance and I purchased it. The other credit card I put all the expenses on and I crossed my fingers that I would have it sold before they came due. And they always did. I got lucky, not lucky, but I worked really hard to meet those dates. And I was of the belief that getting money was hard. And now that I've begun networking and realizing I don't have to do all this by myself, I realize there are an endless supply of lenders.
Yes.
That want to lend on good deals. You've just got to get with the right people to connect you. And so I don't want anybody to walk away with this from this thinking I can't do this because I don't have the money. If you have a good deal and you're committed to learning and being honest with your numbers, there will be a lender out there. I guarantee it. So no longer fear that there isn't someone out there who will lend the money. There is. Just got to do it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we know plenty.
We know plenty. Correct. Yep. They're there. And you know what? I used to also think like I was begging other people for money, but the reality is that this is how they want to make their money. So you're doing each other a favor. It is not a one-sided. It's not like you're begging for money. They're begging for the flip.
Deals. Yeah.
So it's both-sided, and that's a mindset thing that I had to work really hard at changing. And I think a lot of people are under the belief that they can't do it because nobody's going to lend to them, and that's just not true. If the deal's bad, if your credit is bad, if your comping is bad, that's probably true. But if those things don't exist, there will be a lender out there that will lend. Of course, you're going to have to consider those costs in whether you can make money. So there will be some additional costs, but there are lenders out there.
Yeah.
What do we got? Fixing the property. Okay, so one of the biggest things I see is either under or over improving. So for example, if you buy high-end appliances in a low-end community, and by low-end, I mean where the houses average $150,000 a nice house. A lot of times what's going to happen is buyers in the lower end communities, they're barely qualifying for their mortgage. They're looking for something that they can afford. And oftentimes they're not willing or even mostly able to pay for that higher price point. So you making the argument, oh, but look at the beautiful, expensive appliances. They don't care. And if you push that you need more money because of those appliances, they're going to go to the house down the street that isn't making that requirement. So over improving is I've seen a lot of people walk away with no money because they over improved. And a lot of times people over improve, they want to flip a house the way they would want to live in it.
That's right. That is one big mistake. Even
Absolutely.
I know people who fix houses up to rent them out, and it's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting in these, beautiful vanities that are custom made, and the tenant's kicking them in.
Right.
Like, you've really, when you're doing a flip, keep your emotions out of it, keep your budget in. It's all
Yeah.
about your budget. It's a numbers game, not an emotion game. And I think that's where a lot of people fail. So what else do we have? Okay, so this is house hacking. In case anyone doesn't know what that is, it's a strategy where you buy a property that is able to pay for itself. So basically, you're able to live there and the property pays for itself. So you can buy a multifamily home and you live in one of the units, a single family home where you rent out, one of the bedrooms, or you have a ADU in the back of the property that you rent out. But that's a great way for people new in the market to get involved in real estate. It gives you a good understanding of numbers and costs and tenants and dealing with contractors. So you learn all the things you would do in a flip, but you can learn it in a way that's a little less risky, financially risky. Because
Right.
the worst thing that happens if you start renting a room in your house is you stop renting the room in your house. So I actually have two properties in Florida, one in Florida. That one, it is a single family home. I cannot put walls where there are doors. I can only have one stove. But I purposely bought it because it had 4 doors and 3 bathrooms. And so I was able to convert one half into a studio with its own bathroom and kitchenette, and one half into a 1-bedroom with its own entrance and bathroom and kitchenette. So it still operates legally as a single family home. I don't live with either one of my tenants. I'm able to keep the garage and the parking spots and the pool and the backyard and 2 bedrooms and 1 bath to myself, and it cost me nothing.
Wow.
And then I also have a property in New York, which is where I am now, and that is a 4-unit. In one of the units, I have my law office and my real estate office, and I have a studio apartment. The 3 units, not only do they cover the expenses, but I definitely have a overage every month. So I am making money off the property and I'm living here for free. So this allows me to live in 2 states with no housing expenses at all. So house hacking can be a really great way to have multiple residences, for example.
Gotta love it.
Yep. So let's see. Okay. So now we're up to due diligence. So this is something that I flipped properties for 22 years. I had never run into anybody who was dishonest. I had played the game well. I had done well. And I moved to Florida and I started investing with a certain person. And the next thing you knew, my money was gone.
Mm.
So I did get my money back. I have since met 8 other women. They all have, one is a man, the rest happen to be women. And she is being investigated by the Florida Department of Financial Regulation, and there is $685,000 missing. So I have become, in the last 18 months, due diligence has really become my passion. I keep asking myself, why do they sign these contracts? Why do they hand over money with such terrible paperwork? Why are people so trusting? And so now I'm the opposite. Before I would trust everybody. Now I trust nobody. And I think that is really what you need to do in real estate. Don't trust your contractor to do the right thing. Don't trust your landlord. I just had a case where a landlord took a $3,000 security deposit, took the first 2 months rent, and then a notice went on the door that it was in foreclosure in Florida, and they had a week to leave. The landlord was gone. The money was gone. The landlord signed the lease knowing he was in foreclosure. So due diligence is really, really important. You have to know who you're working with. You have to know their history. You have to trust your instincts, and you have to ask questions. And most importantly, you have to have good agreements. They've got to include everything. They've got to include what happens when this goes wrong. And so that is kind of my passion at this point, is really making sure everybody understands that you've got to ask the questions and you've got to have the right paperwork.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, 100%. So that's where we come in with this. I started a Facebook page. It's called Let's Talk Due Diligence in Real Estate. It is a free page. Anybody can join. Tools, tips, stories, tales of caution, all these things. I have so many people writing in with stories on things that have happened to them. And so we're going to start doing Tuesday tales of caution. Every Tuesday, we're going to post one of them. Now,
Mm.
some people want to name names, some don't. That's a personal thing. I personally will name names eventually. Why not? I have nothing to hide. I didn't do anything wrong. So
Yeah.
it's a great page, a lot of helpful tips. And it's a place you can go if you're having a question like, hey, I'm signing this contract and something doesn't feel right. Put it in the group. There are a lot of really educated people in that group that have, two of the people in the group have written and taught extensively on due diligence. So there is someone in that group that's happy to answer almost any question you would have. And I'm also trying to put together a book. So I hope to have it together. It's already pretty much written. I'm just not sure how to distribute it yet, whether it'll be a PDF or something you pay for, or, put it on Amazon. I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But a book that'll go into due diligence in everything you can think of. And it's a really big topic and it's important.
I can help you like
Yeah.
talk that.
Yeah, absolutely. What am I doing with that? I'm thinking a PDF that maybe I charge $20 for, something ridiculously low, but I don't
You,
know if that's the best option.
you can. You can
I'm
do
not
both.
sure. Yeah, or I can put it on Amazon, or I could, yeah, I'll love to talk about it because I'm not sure what to do, but the topic grows every single day. Like the landlord, I was never thinking do due diligence on your landlord. And now that's on my plate.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
going, oh God, oh boy.
I'm always
So
telling people, like, I'm a real estate agent. I'm always telling people I don't do rentals. I don't do rentals because from a real estate agent's perspective, doing that much work to find somebody a rental house and the landlord maybe paid me $100, $200, it's just not worth it. When if I sold that same house, I might make $10,000 or $15,000. So
yeah,
I don't do it. But what I have done so many times for people when they ask is I will help them with that due diligence. I will help them look. Hey, that house is in foreclosure. Hey, who did you say is the
the
landlord?
owner. Yep.
Are
Yep.
they really, are they a property manager or
Right.
for them? Are they an executor? What is their role? Because there are a lot of people scamming. You have
Yes.
someone who knows, they may know the homeowner. They know the homeowner is away or incapacitated, and they'll
Yep.
literally
I've heard of,
take possession of the house to rent
yep.
it to somebody illegally.
I've heard of people renting it as an Airbnb for 3 days, taking pictures, changing the locks, and putting it on the market.
Yes. Yes.
I
That
mean,
happened here in Atlanta like 2 days after a man passed away and his children had to criminally trespass the people, but it got really aggressive because the
yeah,
people, they were selling tickets to a pool party at this man who had just passed away. So the audacity is, it's out there and it seems to be free because people are racking it up.
yeah. I mean, the stories that I'm hearing, they're just, I'm shocked by every single one. And then I'm like, you can't make this stuff up.
You
You
cannot.
really can't make it up. Like, I think the reason I got burned and the other 8 women, one of whom gave $300,000 and hasn't seen a penny of it, is because I was always trusting.
Ooh,
I grew up in a small town. You knew who you liked, you knew who you knew, and you knew who you didn't trust, right? So those lines were already defined when I was approached by someone. So when you walk around thinking everybody's trustworthy until they prove they're not, it's a recipe for getting yourself in trouble.
for sure. For
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
So, and then I have my 2 future things I'm working on. They're both coming very quickly. They're already being built. One is the Accidental Investor Circle, and that is really focused on networking and goal setting. So, setting and
I
achieving
love
goals
that
and networking.
logo.
Thank
I love
you.
that logo. Yeah.
Thank you. And so that one is really about networking. I really believe it's who you know, not what you know. I
For sure.
flipped 17 houses, and the reality was I really didn't know anybody in the industry, and I really hurt myself.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been a totally different person as if as I was flipping, I was networking at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I could have been a lot further along. And so I really want to create a system that I would have loved to have had. So that's what that is. And then the Accidental Flipper will be a mentorship program within the group. You have to be a member of the main group in order to have access to that. So that is coming soon also.
Nice. Okay.
Very
Now,
cool.
do you have anything for sale currently?
Nope. At this point, it's just that free due diligence group with that book coming. It's been an evolution of I had to change my mindset. I've been used to doing my legal work and flipping. That's what I've been doing. So it was a real change to go, whoa, I want to start leading and teaching. So it's a process. I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I'm finding that I want it to be perfect before I start it. I'm realizing that cannot and should not happen. So I'm getting there very quickly. But
Those of you who I am coaching, I always say divorce the projection of perfection.
yes.
Done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done.
Nope.
So
And
just
here's the thing, I realize all the people that need this group and it's not there.
right.
So, I'm giving up my own opportunities by not doing it. So
Mhm.
it's there. I mean, I have logos. I have it set up on the Mighty Network. I have all the classes I want to teach. It's all there. It just has to be put together, and I need the women to come in and embrace it.
So give us a date. When you gonna do this?
I'm
Let's
hoping to do it by August 1st, but we'll see with this flip
go.
and my contractor's not showing up. We'll do our best.
Whew.
August 1st is the goal for the circle.
Okay.
The flipper will not come about until the circle is established. I don't want to start a second one until the first one's really where it needs to be.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's fair.
I'm thinking August 1st and probably January 1st.
Okay.
Good,
You all heard it here first.
good
August
prediction.
1st and January 1st. I like it. I
Yep.
like it. I like it. And how far along are you with the last flip that you're working on? This contractor is not doing what he.
So the one I'm working on now, it is, like I said before, 20 acres. It is 11 buildings. The Amish are doing a lot of the work, which is wonderful because they're so trustworthy and their work is just so good. And I've never worked with the Amish before, so it's been
Oh man,
a
top notch.
really pleasant experience. I had my roofer's wife and her sisters came and cleaned barefoot, running around the property barefoot. And, I bought them ice cream and they thought that was like the best thing that ever happened to them. And it's just been fun, but I'm having a hard time finding those other contractors.
Hmm.
I live next to a really expensive ski community where contractors think they're worth $100 an hour. But I'm in a small little town where the highest priced house is $150,000. So there's this fine line between what they generally work in this big town, in this town built out for Canadians. And so Canadians are willing to pay these ridiculous prices for contractors. Well, it gives them a big head, and you can't find a contractor that isn't ridiculous. I had a garage door estimate to put 2 garage doors on. They wanted $7,500. That was just their money. They wanted me to buy the supplies and $7,500. So there's an example. Yeah, there's a good example. But it is a cool property. There's bears.
It looks so cool. I can't wait to be able to.
Cool. You can come up anytime you want. So I have 3 roofs are on. 2 of the buildings have been fixed. All the buildings have been emptied out. The rest is, work in progress. But we'll see. We'll see.
When you sent me that message she said, I accidentally got another property.
It was on accident too. I was actually doing the legal work for a client and the buyer backed out and she was in tax foreclosure. it would have gone to tax auction in October, which is, she still had a few months, but she had no way to get the money. She knew she wasn't going to have it now or October. And she was in trouble. And so the deal fell through, and I thought about it for a couple days, and I said, I'll buy it. So here I am.
Wow. How
So,
incredible is that? Now that you in that instance, would you recommend only doing the deal if the home is mortgage free, lien free?
I bought this property because of the experience I have. I would never have put this on someone new. I don't really have an end game. I may get permits so someone could turn it into a recreational type place. I may get permits to turn the big barn into 2 apartments. And I may not do it, but I may get the permits to make it more valuable. I
Mm,
know the value of the hunting land. That's about 75,000 right out flat. I know
right.
how to market it. So my end, and for me, I'm like, if I get 2 summers at this ranch in the middle of a forest and I can financially carry it, what a great opportunity, even if I never keep it. I don't have any plans of keeping it. That could change. So for me, it was kind of a win-win. Like, I get to use it for 2 summers and fix it up and make money. This is great. But it is not for the lighthearted. I would not recommend it to someone who's new. I mean, I'm only buying it because I know the area.
I say you plan a retreat for next year.
I know. Wouldn't it be amazing?
It would be so
It
amazing.
would be so amazing. I'm working on it. I've got a lot of thoughts in my head. What I'm hearing is that the health department in New York is really my problem.
Um,
Um, so, my thought was add a bathhouse with laundry and toilets and showers, and then do raw cabins and RVs everywhere. Right?
mm,
What a great, great
mm,
way to not put all these septic and wells in. Um, but
mm.
I think it's really hard to work with the health department to get that approved. I'm not saying it can't be done. I think it's a pretty tedious process. So,
Okay. Okay. Now, how can people follow you? Just from the investor group, or are your socials open?
um, yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You go into that due diligence group, send me a message. I'll keep you up to date. I wanted to have the Accidental Flipper Facebook page open today, just kind of a place for everybody to meet until the actual community is started. But it's there, but it's not ready. I haven't done like the terms of service and all that kind of stuff yet. So,
Okay.
find me on Facebook. I put it in the last page, Renee Miranda, or contact you, and you can send them over to my Facebook. Definitely through the due diligence. Let's talk due diligence page. And anybody who's interested, I'll keep them up to date on what's going on and get them in that group once it's open.
Okay. Oh, we got a comment off of YouTube. Said I saw that too off of Columbia Drive. Does that mean anything to you?
Let me see.
Oh, or was that in reference to the pool party when I said the people crashed the house?
That's funny.
Yes. Well, I am so very honored that you have come and shared your information. This has been incredible. I learned some things and was reminded of some other things.
Thanks
Uh,
for inviting me. I appreciate it.
oh, my pleasure. And any last words before we go?
No, I think, yeah, I think one of my big takeaways, one is due diligence, and two, real estate is a numbers game, not an emotional game. And people
Yes,
forget that.
that's good. That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. She started flipping accidentally, and you can start flipping properties with your credit cards. She did it. She did it.
Mhm. If you want to
So
know if you've got good credit and you want to know how to do that, get in touch with me. I'll walk you through it. It can be done.
it can be
It can
done.
be done.
All right. Well, I want to see you. I'm going to see you in October, but I
Yeah.
want to see you all out here flipping, house hacking, doing all the things. If your threshold is a little bit lower because of whatever your circumstances are, find a way, get creative. Ask somebody, maybe you'll get a seller finance. I have a phenomenal rent to own program where you can get in with a credit score as low as 500, and they give you up to 10 years to get your credit together. And this is a true credit, or I'm sorry, a true rent to own program. Your name goes on the deed the day of closing. So you
I'd
have
like
no
to know
excuse.
about that one.
I will definitely send you the information. Your name goes on the deed day one at closing. So we can get we can get you in there, figure it out, find a way. Every wealthy person in this country has real estate in their portfolio for a reason. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Thank you all so much. This has been I think we're on day 18 of the 30 Days of I Owe Me challenge. I'm so honored to have had you, and we are going to sign off. I say, stay poppin'.
Bubbles.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.